Welcome to the Divine Style podcast with Gerlinda, Stella and Alison, Maiden. Here we share spiritual lessons in self-love and self-expression so you can become the best version of you. In this episode, we discuss money manifestation and how to have an abundance mindset. Hi, I'm Gerlinda, Stella. I'm a personal stylist and self-love coach.
And I'm Alison, Maiden. I'm a psychic medium, Reiki master and teacher, and a metaphysical lecturer.
Today we thought we'd talk about money.
Money is a big part of life. I like the term abundance because abundance comes in lots of different ways. You know, we can have abundance of all sorts of things, love, happiness. Money is only one part of it. And a few people that have money will tell you that money can't buy happiness.
It is very true.
It is true.
And money actually represents freedom for a lot of people.
It does, yeah.
And so that can cover a few things that money has. So things like property and safety. So money can seem like it provides all of these other things. And interestingly enough, I know for myself in the past, I haven't had the best relationship with money. I think of it like a friend or a family member. We sometimes get along and we have a fabulous time, and then at other times they're nowhere to be seen. So... But it is good to think about money in terms of energy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Think of money as energy. Okay, so if you're giving out money, you're giving out energy. You're giving something that you're expecting something back for. And even if that is giving to a charity, you're expecting to feel good.
Yes.
Because you've given that. Okay, so you have an exchange. And energy always works in this way. It's actually universal law. So we have these universal laws. There's 12 laws that govern us actually, and we don't even realise it, but it's happening all the time around us. But one of them is the law of exchange. So whatever you're giving out, you're going to get back. So don't hang on to it, because if you hang on to it too tightly, it's not flowing.
Yes. Sometimes when we're fearful of not having money, then we can hoard it and hang on, and then that can create all sorts of problems as well because there's no flow.
Well, the thing, and you know that I have a history of doing lots of different things. I've lived many lifetimes in one. But one of them was I was a paramedic, okay, in my early years. And that came from a need to help people. So it was in a different aspect to how I'm helping people now, on a physical level more. One of the jobs I went to, which was really interesting, was a beautiful little old lady who had passed away in her house. And her house was very run down. And she was a hoarder, poor darling. She had books everywhere. There was newspapers up to the ceiling. It was very, dishevelled, a horrible smell in there. And the poor old thing, she had died alone. And your heart breaks with these people when you see what they've put themselves through. And this lady ended up being one of the wealthiest people in the city.
Wow.
And she had so much fear of her wealth being taken from her, she'd shut out her family and she'd shut out the world. And so, talking to family members that actually had to turn up at the scene, and it was just, I just went, oh my gosh. So she had all of this so-called money that she was hanging onto so tightly, and yet she was living this miserable, almost poverty existence. And it just goes to show that, in that case, the money did not buy happiness for her. In fact, it created fear.
There's all these sayings too that we've been brought up with. So like money is the root of all evil, or the love of money is the root of all evil, or money doesn't grow on trees, or these types of things can create a negative association with money when, like we said, money is just energy. So that it's not negative at all.
And it comes from the haves and the have-nots, over the centuries of people who've been kept down in poverty by people who have the power. And so they look at people with money as having the power to keep them down and keep them where they are. When in actual fact, I think if everybody was on the same page, the people in power would no longer be in power. So we have to think about it in the sense of, you have got within you the capacity to create whatever you want in your life. I've done it myself, through just belief, self-belief, and knowing that when I'm doing what is right for me on my path, everything will actually come to me that I need at the time I need it. Even down to finer details sometimes. It's not always money that you get. Sometimes you get things that you need. I was living in a country town in South Australia with my children, and I was bringing them up on my own at this point in time, and I had 3 kids that very close together, and I wanted a house for them. And I had this house in my mind where it had a big garden and it had room for everybody, and it was a certain type of house. And at the time, of course, I was on my own and working all the time, trying to, make ends meet. And it wasn't a bad life. I just really had I was so grateful for what I had. I loved my children so much, and they were so good to me. And the love we had together just formed this really beautiful, buoyant energy around our family, to the point where I went to see this house, and the lady had actually offered the house to us at a much lower rate than normal, because she just loved what I was doing and loved my family. And it was given to us in exactly the right circumstances at exactly the right time. And the really funny thing is that my eldest son wanted to be independent. He wanted to live in a caravan outside the house. Just outside the house.
Sounds very gypsy-like.
He just really wanted his own space. He was at that age. And I said, well, if this new house has room, okay, we can park the caravan out the side of the house. This house had a carport built for a caravan, even down to the right voltage.
Wow.
That was just
incredible.
Manifestation at its best. And everything was within what I could afford. It was comfortable. So we don't always look at the fact that, money is a tangible thing. It can sometimes be things given to you which are still abundance. It's not necessarily the money itself.
No, and that's exactly right. I think one thing is getting really comfortable with money. Even with our own house that we're in, my husband and I wrote a list of all the things that we wanted in a home, because we'd gone looking for months and months and months to try and find somewhere, and we sat down and wrote the list, and literally that afternoon my husband rang me and said, I think I found everything on the list, and the house got passed in an auction, and then we got it for the exact price that we wanted it for.
There we go.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I feel really blessed. But to know that wealth is actually more than just money, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Like being wealthy in family and
Yes.
enriched in your home, and getting comfortable with money. I used to be really afraid of money because when we were growing up, there were certainly times that we had lots of money, and then there were times that we didn't have very much. And what my mum used to do would be to hide it in different places, in particular in my wardrobe. So having money sort of around, I was always super scared of it, because I didn't want it. I was one of those people that didn't want to spend it. And I'll spend other people's money when we go shopping. I get so much joy from that. But getting comfortable with money is something that I've been doing over the past few years. And so if you can, I highly recommend getting yourself the biggest note in your currency, whatever that might be. So for us here in Australia, that's $100 note. And I also keep other notes as well, like 50s and 20s and 5s, just to have the money and get used to it, so it doesn't seem such a scary thing. In particular, I thought another interesting thing when we talk about our money here in Australia, our note is green. And we've spoken before about the importance of colour and our chakras and
Yes.
how colour vibrates at different levels. And green is the
Heart chakra.
amazing.
The love of money.
The love of money. So it's not actually a bad thing, it's just what we perceive things as.
Yeah.
The other thing that we can do, and we've both done this before in different areas, is how can we bring more of that money energy into our lives?
Yes, well, there's something called the poverty mentality, is where we don't feel we deserve it.
Unworthiness.
Yes. And so therefore there will be, the universe works on your feelings. It works not so much on your thought patterns, because your thoughts will create feelings, of course, but it works on your feelings. And so if you're feeling like you are abundant, if you feel that you have everything that you need, if you feel that you can pretty much achieve everything that you want, the universe will provide that for you, because that's how you're feeling. If you're feeling like you can't have it, if you don't deserve it, you're not going to get it. It's just like you'll be locked away in that little box that you put yourself in, and you'll find that things will start to go wrong, because that's taking money away from you, because that's the way you're feeling. The universe goes, oh, you're feeling that, you must want more of it. Here, have some more of it, So, and there's no one up there, as I say, telling you that you're going to have a bad day. This is you doing it to yourself. So if you can switch your attitude to money. One thing that we will talk about more past lives as time goes on, because I think it's a fascinating subject personally, and it's a great way to heal. But some of the things that I've had over the years are certain clients where they've actually come in with They've taken vows of poverty in past lives, like, you know, they were monks in Spain, and they were not allowed to have any material goods and things like that. And so we've gone back into that life, and they've brought that energy into this one. And so each time they achieve something, it would be taken from them.
Yes.
You know, they'd go bankrupt, or their marriage would dissolve and they'd be left with nothing, or, you know. And it come down to the fact that they'd taken this vow, and the vow was still current now. And so when we went in and we changed that, we healed it, their attitudes changed, and then their life changed, and all of a sudden things started to come to them that they needed. So it's really, I think, energy is behind all of this. How are you feeling about this? You know, it doesn't matter that the money is, you know, you may have 10 grand in the bank, you might have $2 in the bank. That doesn't matter. It's the attitude behind the way you feel. Do you deserve it? Do you deserve to have the good things happen to you? Well, of course you do. That's a given, right?
And I know somebody that's sort of close to me that always says whenever something good happens, it's always followed by something bad. But that again is like a mentality, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a story.
Way to set yourself up.
Yeah, it's a story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
So every time you think that, you know, something good happens or that you're being happy, if you suddenly think, oh, something's going to come in and make me unhappy, or I'm going to come into wealth. And how many stories do we hear of people winning lotto and then spending it all? And that is 100% mindset.
Yeah, if your goal is a lot of dollars, you're never going to get there. You're never going to be happy, okay? If your goal is abundance of love, happiness, and all the things you need in your life, then yeah, you'll get it, you know? It's just a matter of your mindset and the different ways to get there. Don't only be thinking in one way. Don't think that money is the answer to everything.
No, and it's certainly not. When we were talking about the hoarding and holding on to things, people do this in their wardrobes. This is a very common area for people to hoard. And if you think about the amount of money that you're hoarding in your wardrobe, so you can let go of these pieces that are no longer serving you, and you can actually make money by selling the clothing that you have, but it also allows more in, like we were talking about flow and just being aware, and we have spoken about awareness a lot, but it really is about where we're focusing and putting our time and energy into. And if money is important to you and you're wanting to create it, it will happen. But if that's all you're thinking about, other things and other areas that maybe are important to you as well might get left aside. Because I think we've all met people that, you know, we hear about money hungry people and people that are really success driven. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that potentially other areas aren't.
Well, that's right, and it depends on what they want to do with that success as well. If it's a personal achievement thing, and I've got nothing against that. Being ruthless, walking on top of others to get there, or bringing others down to get there, that's bad karma. That's going to come back and bite you on your bum eventually. An attitude of gratitude, I love that one.
Yes.
You know? If you're grateful for everything you have, and I mean everything. I mean, wake up in the morning and go, oh, I woke up. That's pretty good. I'm grateful. you know, I'm grateful that I have a body that's still functioning. I'm grateful that I've got, you know, a great partner that supports me. I'm grateful for my beautiful children that give me love. All of those things, you know, the small things. It's really important to start with that, because the more that you're grateful, the better the energy, and the better the energy, the more abundance you're going to attract.
Abundance also leads to generosity, not only that's being shown towards you, but that extends from you as well.
Yeah.
There is nothing I find more satisfying than being able to give something to somebody. And it might not necessarily be a physical present. It could be my time. It could be a compliment.
Yes.
But that gift of giving and being able to share that abundance with other people and be generous, and that's what I believe money allows us to do more so in our lives. When we think about the positives of money, we can give to charity. You know, we feel that give to our children and our parents, and a lot of people I know, if you ask them, if you won lotto, what would you do? A lot of people say, I'd give the money to my kids, or I'd buy my parents a house. Soaking up those feelings are just so beautiful.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time, people that can't get their head around money, it's about the security. It's about feeling like, well, I have to have money to survive in this place right now. We have to find work, we've got to pay bills, we've got to buy food. That's pretty important. All of those things are important. We're fortunate enough to live in a country where, you know, we do get help if we need it. But when we're talking about the abundance of money, when we're talking about things that we could then buy other people and do other things with, that's where you really have to keep that mindset of, I have it already.
Yes,
right?
so important.
I have it already.
That is, I think that's one of the most powerful things, and people often, it's the feeling, like you said as well. So feeling like you've got it. So what in your life right now are you grateful for? What in your life right now can you feel that it is wealth? And even if it is relationships, maybe you've got a really good partner, maybe you've got a really beautiful best friend, or and you can foster these feelings of wealth. I mean, if we look at the night sky and see all the stars, and there's just an abundance out there, isn't there? Life is abundance. If we look at the grass or the sand, there's abundance all around us, and if we stop and take a moment to see the abundance and know that that is right there for us too.
Yes, yeah, acknowledge it. That's mine. That's for me. That's mine. I do this thing. I have my goals. Everyone needs goals. We're going to do a goal setting one.
Yes.
Right? I've started many centres in my time, but I want to start up a healing centre here in Cairns. That's one of the goals that I have. And that will happen. That'll happen very soon. And I'm walking around and I'm looking at the places that I'm going to have my healing centre. And I've already picked out a place.
It's not for sale.
It's not for sale. No, people are living in it. But that's it. My goal is there. My intention is there. That's the type of place that I envisage this happening, and it will happen. I have no doubt it will happen.
The other thing, and I know we're not necessarily talking about goal setting now, but even talking about your goals, letting people know. I mean, sometimes it can feel scary to share your goals, especially if people you might feel sometimes they shut them down or say, oh, you're just dreaming. But if you can keep that positive energy, like, no, this is really going to happen.
And remember, it's their problem, not yours.
Yes, yes. If it's their mindset, that don't let other people's mindsets around things like money and abundance and your dreams affect your own.
Oh, that's. And I've got to bring it up here too, that it's the typical, fella versus female in some instances, because they're so logical.
They are.
They love being logical, don't they?
Yes.
It's like,
they're like, how are you going to do that?
Yeah, exactly. Show me the plan.
Yeah.
The universe has the plan.
Yes. We don't have to worry about the details.
Attracting money. Now, that's something that we can do through vibration. We were talking about vibration before. There's certain little friends that we have called crystals that hold a vibration, and they're wonderful little tools that we can have. So there are certain crystals that will help attract abundance into your life. Jade is one that actually Chinese believe that jade's very lucky. Chinese culture.
Yes, I happen to have a little jade elephant.
Oh, you do? Isn't he cute?
And one thing that I did learn was about choosing, if you do love to have little elephants or ornaments, this particular one, his trunk is up. And that's important. Very important to have the trunk up. And you can put this place towards where your front door is, and that can allow it to come in. But these little things, sometimes you have a placebo effect. Yeah. This has been used for thousands of years in other cultures as well. So.
Well, when you think about it, if we're looking at everything as energy, that particular vibration is putting out there that you are ready and willing for abundance, okay? So it's holding the vibration for you, even if you're not feeling it in your own heart. It's actually feeling it for you. So it's helping you in that way.
Yes, and I give gratitude to everything in my life, and even the little elephant. I'm like, thank you, little elephant, for helping bring in. And sometimes it's amazing. You'll get the exact amount of money you need in your account. And sometimes it'll be somebody just gifting you something. It's so many different ways.
Or you'll come up with an idea which will just drop into your head one day, and you'll think, oh, I could do that. And then sure enough, yes, it will be successful. Think about the person who created the button.
Clever.
I know, right? Who would have thought? Putting some holes in a bit of wood, it would be so popular.
And we are creative beings.
We are very creative. So, don't limit yourself to thinking, oh, that's not going to work for me, because only a lot of people with money can do that. Rubbish. If you've got great ideas, get it out there. There's plenty of different, especially now with the internet, enormous reach that has around the world. Someone will be interested in your ideas.
Yes, it reminds me of that saying, you'd rather have, loved and lost than never to have loved at all. And I think it's the same thing with failing. You're better to have tried and failed than to never have tried at all.
That's right. So if you're wanting a lot of money, and that's the way that you would really love to experience this lifetime, put yourself out there, allow it to happen. Don't sit back and wait to win the lotto. I mean, that's it's lovely, but it's probably unlikely. Whereas if you come up with a brilliant idea and you put it out there, then you get your abundance back.
Yes, and there are so many ways that we get abundance into our lives,
Correct.
as we've spoken about, whether it's friendships, sometimes material worth, sometimes you're given things. I remember once I wanted an earring holder. I didn't even tell anyone, and a client actually bought me the most beautiful earring holder.
I love it when that happens.
It's so fantastic.
Synchronicity. It's gorgeous,
It
isn't it?
is.
It's the universe saying, here you go, you've been a good girl this week, have something nice.
Yes. And one thing we were talking about, so we've got jade, so
Yes.
in particular greenstone, so things like I've got some aventurine here as well. And another one you mentioned to me,
Carnelian.
carnelian.
Yeah, it's a motivational stone, and it's basically helps to motivate you in what you want, you know, but it does attract wealth and abundance through the motivation of doing.
And if we think about orange, this one is the sacral, which is also about feeling secure as well, as much as the root chakra, but sacral is really important as
It's where
well.
we hold our past life guilts and fears. So if you're fearing being successful in this life, then you will stop yourself from making all that money that you want.
I know for me, one block that I had was thinking about what people would think of me if I had money. And it's interesting when we start to think about other people's judgments on us, because it's usually us that is judging. So I remember being younger, and my mum is such a wealth of quotes for me, but one she would say, you know, like, you rich bitch. And I love that women have taken that back and as a powerful thing, like, yes, I can be a rich bitch, and it doesn't actually make you a bitch at all,
Right.
But it's just our perception again around what
it's
money
about being
does.
successful and feeling successful, no matter what it is that you're doing. You know, I mean, if you're going to gauge your success by how much money you have, then that's probably a little bit off track. But if you gauge your success by how much you're giving to others and how much they're enjoying what you're doing with them, and you're feeling good about it, then the money will flow anyway.
The money does flow. A few years ago, I've always wanted a Mercedes-Benz car. Now, my oldest daughter is actually named Mercedes, and my dad used to sell them. He was a used car salesman. I think this is sounding very dodgy as my dad. I used to say he's one of the honest ones, and he assures me he wasn't. All these years on.
He's a good bloke.
He is a good bloke. But I desperately wanted a Mercedes, and I needed a new car, and my husband said to me, go check out Honda, go check out Mazda, go check out all of these cars. And I'd gone searching and nothing seemed quite right. And I looked across all of the car yards where we live. They're kind of all close to each other.
Yeah.
And I looked across the road, and I just thought, I'll just go have a look at a Mercedes-Benz. I'll just go have a look. And of course I went in, and the gentleman said, oh, would you like to sit in it? I'm like, okay, I'll sit in it. And then you can smell the leather. And he said, oh, what's your budget? I said, not this, because the starting price is quite high. And he said, oh, we might still have something for you. We'll let you know. And 2 weeks later, he called me and said, we've got something that's just come in. I think it's going to be perfect for you. And I got in it, and I got all those butterfly feelings like it was meant for me. And my husband was like, how did you do that? Of course, I brought my dad, and he haggled in the pricing. So my dad was very helpful.
You use all the tools.
Yeah. Yes, but I got a car that I absolutely never in a million years thought I would own. And I'm so proud every month. And that's the other thing when we're paying bills. Every month when that car repayment comes out, I am so grateful, because I'm getting that energy exchange, I'm getting that feeling. And sometimes I think when it comes to bills, we can often feel resentful and annoyed, but we've actually used whatever utility it was, we've used that, and it is an energy exchange. So if you can pay your bills with love, that can be a really powerful thing as well.
Yeah. Look, it's all coming down to how you feel. And so if you're feeling abundant, you're feeling wealthy, and you're feeling like you have everything you already need, you will get that. You just got to hold that feeling. And don't waver. That's where it's really disappointing when people go, oh, I'm too impatient for this. I need it now. And they're just this far off of getting what they need, and yet they don't know it. And then it has to go back round the cycle again. So 12 months later, they may get another opportunity.
And how many stories have we heard where the miner is digging for the diamonds and stops just an inch short? And
so keep going.
Yes.
Don't give up.
Yes, and definitely keeping that feeling of abundance and wealth, and knowing that we already have everything we need. Everything that we need is right inside of us. And money is not a scary thing.
No.
It's really not something to be feared. It's something to be enjoyed, and that we can use it for good.
Yes.
That's what I always think, for the greater good of all.
For the greater good.
Yes. I hope that's given you some tips. Carnelian, we've got
Jade.
And jade. get used to holding some money, think good thoughts about money.
Don't be frightened of it. Don't be frightened of success. Just get out there and be your good selves.
And don't hold on to it. Be generous. Yeah. Let it flow.
Let it flow.
Thanks for listening to the Divine Style podcast. Please follow, share, and tune in weekly for more spiritual and self-love guidance. You can find us and ask questions at gerlinda.com.au and alisonmaiden.com.